Hello and welcome to this 11th edition of Ask the Gov. Let's begin. Our first question comes from Jane via email. Jane says, "My husband has worked for corrections for over 25 years and I'm concerned about his safety with the reduction in staffing. There has been a couple of articles in the news. Can you address those concerns?" Yes, unfortunately, my predecessor, before leaving office, did an $84 million across-the-board cut that affected corrections and other critical public safety areas. I'm pleased to say that during this session of the legislature, we did provide a supplemental appropriation and restored $40 million in order to protect the public safety. I also recommended an additional 40 officers in the corrections area. This was a difficult budget to balance, and we needed to make sure that we restored fiscal responsibility and spent less than we took in. But corrections is one of the few areas where we did add some additional staff. 40 in the budget that was just approved by the General Assembly before the end of the fiscal year. Staff at the Department of Corrections have a challenging job, and we're very proud of what they do to protect the safety of the citizens of Iowa. The second question comes from Nathan in Marshalltown via Facebook. Nathan asks, "What happened to balancing the budget?" Well, I'm pleased to say that it was a long and tough battle, but we did not only get a balanced budget passed for the coming fiscal year, we got, for the first time since 1983, a two-year budget. And not only is the budget balanced for the coming year and the year after, we have projections for the next 5 years that has the state spending less than it takes in. And this is quite in contrast to the federal government, which is spending about 40 cents out of every dollar with borrowed money and racking up huge increases in the national debt. Also, many states are facing a deficit, and our budget is projected to have a surplus for the coming year and for the foreseeable future. And a lot of credit goes to the hard work that went into this, Department of Management, the both houses of the legislature, and we held their feet to the fire to make sure that we used good budgeting principles and passed an honest budget and one that is balanced and sustainable for the long term. Our third question comes from Thomas via Facebook. Thomas asks, "What happened to property tax relief?" Unfortunately, the legislature was not able to reach an agreement to reduce the commercial property tax and to limit the increases in residential and agriculture property. I'm very unhappy that this didn't get approved during this last session of the legislature. We worked long and hard to try to get it done, and my concern is without property tax relief and without property tax limitations, we could see a $1.3 billion increase in property taxes over the next 5 years. I'm going to continue to work very hard to make sure that this is an issue that gets addressed in the next session. The goal is to reduce the commercial property tax from 100% of market value, and it's the only class of property that's taxed at 100%, to 60% over the next 5 years, and also to limit residential and agriculture property, which presently can go up 4% a year, to going up no more than 2%, so that we can protect all classes of property from this impending property tax increase that could occur if we took no action because of the impact of the valuations of farmland being based on productivity. They use a 5-year rolling average looking at commodity prices. And if you look back 5 years, corn was selling for less than $3 a bushel. It's now in the $6.50 to $7 range. And if you and then residential is tied to that, and that's why it's critically important that we put limitations on residential and agriculture property as well as reduce the commercial property tax. I'm committed to continue to work on that, and will diligently work to get the support that we need to convince the General Assembly they can no longer put that off as they have for the last 30 years.